The lights down in the city say the system's on the ropes, while the same hands that broke it hold your paycheck and your hopes. They'll sell your sweat for silver, call your sacrifice relief, but every drop of truth we bleed writes another line of belief. Freedom isn't free, it's carved in blood and fire and stone. It's the price of stand tall when they tell you to kneel and go home. They can lock up every promise, tax the air we breathe, but they'll never chain the hearts of those who still believe. 'Cause freedom isn't free. They preach peace from marble towers while they fence off your front yard. They wave a flag made out of rules and call obedience smart. They'll brand your voice as danger, they'll mock your faith as greed, but freedom don't need permission, it just needs men who bleed. Freedom isn't free, it's carved in blood and fire and stone. It's the price of standing tall when they tell you kneel and go home. They can lock up every promise, tax the air we breathe, but they'll never change the hearts of those who still believe. 'Cause freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't free, it's written in red on history's page, a warning to the tyrants and the cowards of the age. They can bury us in silence, but the truth still screams. Freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't free.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLR.
Come gather round the footlights, lads, and hear the old boards groan. A tale of ink and iron will, of voices overblown. From mics and scripts to painted sails, we've traded shore for sea. The players will man the rigging soon. Aye, your hands, follow me. just ship a single breath. The course is not set yet. We players sail, we players sail, we players sail soon. All hands to KLRN Radio, setting sail for Treasure Island, March 2026!
Just so everybody knows. So everybody doesn't start going, it's March, when's the play? Yeah, we're not there yet.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes.
I forgot
you can
it
find
rolled
Good
to the
Pods
next
on the
one.
web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
From red dirt roads to the Capitol steps, Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets. Fire in his voice, facts in his hand, talking sense to the heart of this land. It's the Rick Robinson Show, where the truth rides high. No spin, no script, just an eagle in the sky. From DC to Tulsa, he's calling it out.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday, otherwise known as Chat Lives Matter Day in these parts. We'll also have Chat Lives Matter Night a little bit later, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, with a special episode of Kingdom and Country, followed by Toxic Masculinity, followed by Behind Enemy Lines Radio, followed by Rick and Orty, followed by The Edge of Liberty. So yeah, not only am I doing 2 hours this morning and a bunch of work in the middle to get ready for tonight, you got to put up with me till about midnight-ish my time, maybe a little later. So, some of you are sad by that. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem. All right, so there's so many things to talk about today, I really don't know where to start. But I have to talk about this because I didn't get a chance to talk about this yesterday. And yesterday was one of the days that I really missed doing a Tuesday show because all kinds of cool things started dropping and things that it took me a minute to sort out. Like, I thought somebody had made some sort of a joke post about them swearing in the new Ayatollah as a cardboard cutout. So it's definitely life imitating art because it felt like a South Park episode. So at first I thought it was somebody just doing something dumb, and then I thought it was, just because he was supposed to show up and then couldn't, and I thought it was some sort of like crowd event or something. And then I found out it was for his swearing in, which led to the title of today's show. How many Ayatollahs does it take to screw in a light bulb? None, because they're all fucking dead. Anyway, I'm probably going to get kicked off YouTube for that. I'm kind of okay with it, though, if it happens. It's been a minute, so it'll probably just be a couple days when they don't let me do anything because I probably just crossed one of their lines. They have weird rules about how soon you cuss and everything else. So, and I'm still getting used to being over there again, so I'm sure we'll probably piss some people off today. But it's just kind of how I roll. All right, so we had to talk about that. The cardboard cutout Ayatollah. They might as well just swear in Ahmed, the dead terrorist, at this point, because that would have been more believable. Want to give a quick shout out to the folks that I already see in chat. We've got a Denny sighting. We've got an Andrew sighting. All of our chats are open. So as long as you're not a dick, you can come hang out. You start being a dick, I'm going to bump you because I can. Yes, I believe in the First Amendment, but I'm not the government. And if you say stuff that annoys the people that are always here supporting me, then you're going to have to go. So, again, that's a you problem, not a me problem, because I have a very solid fan base, and just because I'm trying to grow audiences now doesn't mean I want to piss them off either. But since we're talking about things that could potentially be pissing us off, let's talk about this. So, for today only, I have a new segment called the Dueling Aisles of Stupid, because it seems like no matter where you go anymore today, you see stupid across both the aisles, and it's, pretty well represented. I was actually going to start with the other one first, but I decided to give my side the hardest time first because I thought that was only fair since this idiot's supposed to be on my side of the argument. So we're about to listen to a clip. Then we're going to take it apart. You should be starting to see it show up on your screens now. I know you can't hear it yet, but that's all right because I haven't embiggened it yet anyway. So here we go.
Run a risk of being on the wrong side of President Trump and your resistance to do this talking filibuster, tying the Senate in knots for weeks?
We don't have the votes either to proceed, get on a talking filibuster, nor to sustain one if we got on it. But that is just a function of math. And there isn't anything I can do about that. I mean, I understand the President's got a passion to see this issue addressed, as we all do.
Does he understand that, though?
Well, we've conveyed that to him, but we will continue to make that argument because I think it's important that everybody understand that this really is it's about the votes, it's about the math. And I'm for better or worse, I'm the one who has to be the clear-eyed realist about what we can achieve here. And so we'll continue to convey that. And I think that we're going to have the fight on the floor. We're going to vote on this. We're going to put it up, and we'll give the Democrats the opportunity to cast their vote on whether or not they think non-citizens ought to vote in American elections.
All right, so here's my problem with half of what this man just said. So I'm going to, now again, please understand, I'm not trying to insult anyone, but for a moment, I'm going to explain the talking filibuster to you as if you were 5, because I had it explained to me like I was 5 just to make sure I wasn't missing something with my assistant today. So the talking filibuster works like this. Somebody tries to bring a bill to the Senate, to the well of the Senate. A senator or a group of senators says, no, we want to debate this first. Then they go to the well of the Senate after picking someone, and only one someone, by the way, hang on, let me fix this because I just realized I'm giving you some of my best work off camera. But anyway, so this just pisses me off. This just proves that the stupidity isn't only on one side of the aisle, and I'm just gonna start calling everybody out for it, because this isn't how the talking filibuster works. Because you heard when he said we don't have the votes to start a talking filibuster, much less end one. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. So right now, using the modified filibuster rule, all someone has to say, regardless of party, if there's something coming up for a vote that they don't agree with, is that I declare a filibuster, kind of like 1, 2, 3. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. Yeah, they might as well make them stand up and say something stupid like that. But yeah, so with the newest rule, they can just declare that they're going to filibuster something, and then the assumption is it can't go anywhere until they get a 60 vote threshold to be able to break it. My problem with that is up until recent history, that's not how any of this has worked. So what has me upset the most about what the leader of the Senate, just the majority party Senate leader just said was, we don't even have the votes to start a talking filibuster when there's no such thing. Because the old rules were thus: you said you didn't want to vote for something, or you wanted to basically, filibuster it, otherwise known as have a lengthy debate. And as far as I know, the longest one of these things in history has been just a little bit over 24 hours, because they didn't used to allow people to tag in, and they didn't used to allow pee breaks. So here's what's really happening. Leader Thune, because he knows that nobody really understands civics anymore if you're below a certain age, is going out to the camera hoping that he's going to appease the people that are below that certain age that are screaming at him about the Save America Act by saying, well, we couldn't do a talking filibuster if we wanted to. We don't have the votes to get into it or to get out of it. We hope that makes sense to you, and I hope you don't realize that I'm talking to you like you're retarded, which is why I have Senator Thune talking like Ernest from fucking the TV shows and the movies back in the day. What was it, I think wasn't it Brahms commercials he started with way back in the day? Hell, I don't even remember. Anyway, but look, so that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. The simple fact of the matter is, I'm sadly it'll be a minute, but yeah, this isn't the show for SEC football. But as somebody currently wearing an OU hat who has been transplanted into the SEC, I kind of agree with you. All right, anyway, so back to the topic at hand. So again, that's not how any of this works. So what happened, or what used to happen, is a senator or a group of senator would say, we're going to filibuster. Then somebody would have to get up and talk, and talk, and talk, and talk, and talk. Now, if you had the votes to make them sit down and shut up, that's when you needed the 60 vote threshold, was to make them sit down and shut up, which then brings it for a simple up or down vote. Now, the part that Leader Thune isn't making clear, because it makes him look retarded with what he just said, so he doesn't want to basically give you that ammunition, is this: after somebody can't talk anymore, the filibuster ends. So it either gets ended by a 60 vote threshold being reached, and then it goes up for a simple up or down vote, or it ends when whoever's been declared the leader of the filibuster, who is supposed to be doing all the talking, runs out of gas. And again, one of the longest ones in history that I know about was when the Democrats were trying to block the civil rights movement. And one of them filibustered for just a little bit over 24 hours. Then when he ran out of gas, it went up for a vote anyway. So all it really did was delay the inevitable. But this is what irritates me about even the folks on our side right now, because they're being stupid. Look, this is, again, depending on which polls you look at, an 80-20 or 70-30 issue. Republicans are about 80-20, Democrats 70-30. Because most people understand that only American citizens should be allowed to vote in our national elections. And I'm sorry, if we can't get this fixed this way, then I'm just going to start pushing for changes at the city and the state level to make sure that nobody who isn't a citizen gets to vote in anything. And that's not fair, but at this point, it's going to be about the only way to fix it. So we can either fix this at the national level, do it as a one-time thing, and the simple way to fix all of this it's simple. You reactivate selective service, and you make sure that every American citizen who is 18 years of age is registered for selective service, because that verifies citizenship. Up until now, selective service has only been for men. Since women are so heavy on equal rights and stuff now, then it's pretty simple. We just have everybody who's 18 years of age register for selective service if they ever need it, and that verifies citizenship, etc., in one fell swoop. It's a pretty easy fix. Now, for people that need to go back and prove their citizenship that are old like me, yeah, it might be a bit of a pain. I may have to pay $20 to get a birth certificate, because I'm not exactly sure where mine is nowadays. but it's not that big of a deal. And I'm willing to do that once if it brings trust back to the American electorate. And this is the thing that pisses me off the most, because all of the leftist talking points are the same thing. We don't need to do this because there isn't enough fraud to justify what we're doing. All right, so if there isn't enough fraud to justify what we're doing, as far as you're concerned, then why not push this thing across the finish line, get it enacted, and then you can come back and say, see, it didn't really change anything, if you're right. The problem is, I don't think they're right. And this is the other half of the segment, known as the stupid exist on both sides of the aisle, that is a new thing for today and may start becoming a regular thing if I can find more evidence of it. But here is the other side of the aisle letting something slip, in my opinion, but I'm not gonna say that until you get a chance to listen to it. But yeah, I kind of feel like his transmission was slipping here, because he said the quiet part out loud a little bit, and I don't think he realizes what he said. But here's this.
Yes, but their bill isn't voter ID, number one. It is about voter registration. It allows ICE to kick tens of millions of people off the rolls.
All right, so I'm going to back that up for just a second in case anybody missed it.
To kick tens of millions of people off the rolls.
Okay, so this is the quiet part that I feel like he said out loud without possibly realizing what he said out loud, because he just admitted that if we pass this new law, then ICE will be allowed to remove millions of people from the voter rolls. Remind me again what ICE's job is, because it's not vote enforcement. It's immigrations and customs enforcement. So why would you suppose, just for a moment, why would you suppose that tens of millions of voters would be removed from the voter rolls thanks to ICE if this passes? Anybody? Bueller? Yeah, I'm saying he said the quiet part out loud. All right, so we're going to let this clip finish. I don't remember if there's anything else of import here, but it's not very long, so I'm going to go ahead and let it finish playing.
Off the rolls, and they don't tell them until Election Day, and you show up and you say, you're not registered anymore. You're not registered here. You're not on the rolls. Yes, but they're...
Okay, so again, the question is, if they are citizens and they've been able to prove their citizenship, how and or why would ICE have the authority to remove them from voter rolls? And look, I'm sorry, unless you're 5 years old, if you can't prove your citizenship by now, then do you even deserve to vote in the first place? I mean, we used to have a modicum of self-responsibility in this country, and we don't anymore. That is one of the things that drives me the most crazy about a lot of these memes that I see that have been popping up ever since the conflict in Iran started, is everybody, well, they're finding millions of dollars a day in bombs, but they don't care if you starve. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. If you rely on your government for everything, you eventually wait for your government to be able to take everything away from you. So if that's what you want, then please move somewhere where they already have it. Go check out Canada. It's pretty close to socialized these days. Go check out Europe. Most of it's that way now too. We don't want or need that here. And that is just the truth of it. And if that hurts feelings and pisses people off, I don't really care. Because I don't want to live in a communist country. I don't want to live in a socialist utopia, because they don't exist. And for everyone who keeps saying, well, true communism and true socialism has never really been tried, Rick, you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, it has. It's been tried over and over and over again. And it seems pretty warm and fuzzy on paper, I will admit. When I was younger, I kind of dug the idea of going and finding a commune somewhere and thinking that life was going to be easy. But then I got a taste of how life really works. And then I realized exactly what would happen is what happens all the time. When you change the government structure, all you really do is change who is at the top of the food chain. you still have just as many poor, disaffected people. And as a matter of fact, usually by the end of one of these regimes, you have more poor and disaffected people than you had when the changeover started. And one of the things that I find the most humorous, and I don't have the clip anymore because it's been a minute since I've played it, was one of the guys who was caught on camera, I think it was 23 or 24, at one of the protests when all the Hezbollah stuff started and all the Hamas stuff started, talking about how he was a Mexican and they're not coming here because they think America is great. They're coming here to take their land back. And then when somebody asked them what political system they preferred, well, I prefer communism because communism had a golden age. And then they started talking about the communist takeover in Russia and, apparently missing the point that millions upon millions of people were slaughtered during the communist takeover in Russia. Because they don't teach you that stuff, because that makes communism less palatable. When you realize how much control you're giving up if you go communist to socialist, that typically makes things like that less palatable, and nobody wants any of that. And I, for one, agree with him. I don't want any of that. Now, again, if you do, there's no reason to try to bring it here. There's plenty of other countries that are already experimenting with it, and I'm sure they would take you in a heartbeat. As for me and mine, I want to live as free as possible. Now, that is becoming a misnomer, and I will freely admit that it's becoming a misnomer, partly because we have, until Trump, had basically what I call the uniparty. And that means that really both sides want the same thing. They just have differing viewpoints on how to get us there and the timetable to get us there. One side, the Democrats, want us to get there as quickly as possible in the hopes that we don't realize what they've done until it's too late. The other side wants to do the whole frog slowly boiling in a pot scenario, which is most of the Republicans, which is why you hear the leader of the majority party of the Senate talking to you like you're stupid and saying you don't even understand that even if we wanted to do a talking filibuster, we don't even have the votes to start one of them. This is the third time in 2 weeks that Thune has been on my radar with this crap because he keeps saying the stupidest crap. And I'm sorry, I'm going to hold my side to a higher standard than I do the Democrats because they have sold their souls. They have become wholesale retarded. And I have to accept that. And I have to find a way to work through that. But I don't have to take this crap from the people that are supposed to be on my side. Don't talk to me like I'm stupid. Don't tell me how a filibuster works when I'm old enough that I was actually taught civics, so I know how a filibuster works, and I'm smart enough to research it before I start talking about it, which means there's no vote required to start one. So please stop treating me like I'm stupid, and please stop treating the people that are voting for you like they're stupid. Please stop treating the people that are telling you to do the things that we sent Donald Trump to Washington, D.C. to do that we're stupid. Because we want secure elections. Because guess what? We still don't trust the 2020 election. And for all of you lefties that, that's election denialism, Rick, and that's bad. Yeah, then please explain to me why all of you have been denying the 2024 election. If neither side trusts the elections anymore, it's time we fix them. Easiest way to fix them, especially if, according to the left, there's no issue because there's not enough fraud to justify what we're doing, then it won't make any drastic changes. Because again, if ICE can remove millions of people from the voter rolls, that means they should have never been on the voter rolls in the first place. And Leader Thune, it doesn't take 60 votes to start a filibuster. It takes 60 votes to end a filibuster. If you're trying to shut them up and just move on to the vote. Otherwise, you seriously have one of the longest filibusters in history. I think I have it in my notes here. Yeah, so in 1957, Strom Thurmond talked for 24 hours and 18 minutes trying to block the Civil Rights Act of 1957. He literally read laws, read election rules, and kept going until he physically couldn't anymore. And then, when he had to sit down, the vote was able to take place. But again, there's a twist today. Most filibusters aren't talking filibusters anymore. Now a senator can basically just say, I'm filibustering, and then the vote usually stops unless 60 senators override it. Now, the reason most senators went with this process is because the talking filibuster stops everything else. With this quiet filibuster, they can still bring up other bills. They can try to move forward with other things. There's other work that can get done. The Senate doesn't grind to a halt. You know what? I'm fine with the Senate grinding to a halt if we're fighting for the things that I want. So if you don't want the filibuster nuked, then you at least need to give it its teeth back. Because right now, this is stupid. This means that unless we, and this is up to you, the voters, so you guys are about to have a decision to make. We can either finish what we started and finish fixing what's broken in America and finish trying to realign international politics to the point where we're actually at the head of the table again and we start strangling off everybody else that thinks they've been the biggest, baddest dogs on the block, which is what we're trying to do. Or you can vote the other way and we can wind up being indentured servants and eventually having to learn to speak Chinese. Because that's pretty much where we are. All right, so I'm going to get ready to take the break. Give me just a moment here because I guess I'll just pull it up from in here. Just realized we are at bottom of the hour. All right, so this one is a new one from our KLR Radio House Band. This one was inspired by the fact that, Venezuela is coming back to the table. Cubans are rising up against their government and demanding freedom. And actually, we have Cubans in Florida that are now begging the president to bomb Cuba so they can go home and make it better again. And then we have the Iranian stuff going on. So this is a new one called Cry of Freedom. It has not been set for publication yet on any of the streaming platforms, etc. So right now we're just kind of playing it inside the show. Let me know what you think. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
They tried to quench the fire, drown it all in chains, tried to break our will and wash away our names. But every spark they buried only fed the flame. Now the cry of freedom's roaring through the rain. Hear the cry of freedom on the winds of change. Every voice united, breaking every chain. We were born to stand and never bow again.
And welcome back into this Wednesday / hump day / chat lives matter day edition of the Rick Robinson Show. Live right here on KLRnradio.com. Don't forget, starting back tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, I'll be up first with Kingdom and Country for a special episode called The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, because I have some things to say about a certain person in Texas running for Congress or Senate or whatever the hell it is. Because I haven't really paid that much attention to him until I started seeing him, dropping scripture references and twisting them. So yeah, he's on my radar. So we're going to take him apart tonight because we can. And then, so at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have our monthly foray into everything the media tells you sucks about being a dude, called Toxic Masculinity, with myself, Ordnance J. Packard, usually the conservative curmudgeon, and usually Andrew, but since he's been angry about how X has been doing polls lately, we haven't really needed our pole dancing dude. So, and then occasionally we even get a stop in from Vincent Charles from the Vincent Charles Project, as well as Men Explained Poorly, the new Tuesday night foray into things men need to understand. If you missed last night's episode, it was a lot of fun. I didn't do a lot of talking last night because I kept trying to check to make sure I wasn't going to get blown away by thunderstorms and tornadoes. But the other men on the panel had a lot of interesting things to say, especially for younger men who are just starting out, who maybe haven't been told, save money, compound interest is your friend. Don't get into major credit card debt, those kind of things. But again, going to get back into the show topics for us here today instead of just pimping everything else. But we had to talk about that first. All right. So this wasn't in my notes. I'm not going to lie. This was not in my notes, but this came across my feed earlier today, and I decided it was something that we definitely had to talk about because, again, this goes into some of the stuff that I have been talking about now for years. And I do mean years. So here we go. Hang on.
Was there any evidence? We know the evidence goes to Merrick Garland, that the former attorney general was behind a lot of this. Does it go to Joe Biden himself? Did Joe Biden have any role in all of this? Real quick, if you can for me, John.
I think both Obama and Biden have to be, that question has to be addressed by the prosecutors. We know they sat in meetings in 2016 where they plotted out some of the Russia collusion investigation that would follow after they left office. I think they're looking at those issues now, and we'll get to the bottom of it. And I also will bring up Chris Wray. He presided over a large part of this. A lot of people don't in the same vein as James. I think there's growing concern that what went on in Chris Wray's watch is very disturbing.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's going to expose it, John Solomon and Just the News is. Buddy, you're amazing. The work you're doing is fabulous. I always appreciate you spending time with me.
Yeah, honored to be on the same network as you. Really am.
Well, the feeling is 100% mutual, my friend. Thank you. Was there any evidence? We know the evidence goes to Merrick Garland.
All right, so there you have it. Direct from one of the founders of Just the News, talking about the fact that they now have a paper trail going all the way back to 2016, before Obama ever left the White House, where they were actually colluding together to get the Russian narrative story spun up properly. Now, I'm going to say this again because I've been saying this for a long time. Imagine how much differently all of that would have gone if Hillary Clinton had won. I need you to just think about that for a second. How much differently would all that have gone if Hillary Clinton had won? Because think about this from another perspective. The media bought it hook, line, and sinker. All of it. Even with folks being caught up by Russian DJs in prank calls. The media even bought into that. So how much worse would this have gone for the Trump family if they hadn't won? How much worse did things get for the Trump family when Biden started targeting them towards the end of his term? These are the things that we know happened. And now you've got the left screaming and crying foul because they feel like Donald Trump is weaponizing the DOJ against his enemies. Well, I'm sorry, you guys played that card first. I don't have any sympathy for you anymore. Even if you think that's what Donald Trump is doing, and I don't. I really don't. That's not just me trying to carry water for this side. If you're new around here, you just heard me talking crap about Senator Thune for the first 15 minutes of the program. So I don't carry water. I try to be as middle of the ground as I can. Now, the older that I have gotten, the harder it is to stay in the middle because the Overton window keeps shifting. So what used to be the middle now feels like it's really, really far right. And I'm not moving further back to the left just so everybody, oh, you're not a centrist anymore. You know what? I still am. The Overton window's what moved. I didn't. I still want everybody to be able to get along. I still want people to be able to reach across the aisle. But again, we didn't break that. What we're doing right now, what we're witnessing right now in between what is happening in Iran and what is happening in our politics is we are trying to reset things back to what used to be normal. We broke Iran. One of the things that drove me absolutely crazy over the last few days was the meme that was going around talking about how Jimmy Carter was the only president in recent history that didn't drop bombs on another country. Except the problem is that he should have. He created the mess, or was instrumental in helping to create the mess. He didn't start it, but he helped perpetuate it. If you don't know this, I have done a deep dive on what started all this in Iran, and it started way back in the 50s. You can go find it on the America Off the Rails feed because I'm not going to go all the way back through it today. But we started this mess. We started it when a new leader got elected, and then Britain got ticked off because dude wanted to nationalize their oil industry, and Britain wasn't having any of that. And then, of course, we had just finished with a huge socialist pain in the ass just a few years earlier. So we weren't wanting to try to have to deal with that in the Middle East either, so we decided to start meddling. Fast forward to 1979, and they've pretty much been at war with us ever since, even if we refuse to admit it or understand it. And that's just the truth of it. And the funny thing is, you're now finally starting to see lamestream zombie media news outlets telling you that much. I think I have one of those clips here somewhere. Hang on. I'm not finding that one yet, but I am finding something that I thought was interesting with the differences in how the media treats things depending on who is in office. So this is another interesting new clip. Hang on. So this is from our friends, I believe it was Maze. Want to give credit where credit's due. I think it's their account. Yeah, it's right there. So yeah, you guys can see it. I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned it so people know where I'm getting this from. But yeah, so we're going to start with October 2024 when Biden was in office. Listen to this.
Earlier today, Iran launched its largest attack yet on Israel, but that attack failed thanks to joint U.S. and Israeli defensive action. President Biden has deployed more than 40,000 U.S. military personnel and assets to that region over the past year to try to prevent a regional war. Iran is weakened, but the U.S. still considers it the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, and it has drastically reduced the time it would take to develop a nuclear weapon. It is down now to 1 or 2 weeks' time. Governor Walz, if you were the final voice in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? Weaponization ambitions. Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
That's irrelevant. I see that question being asked in the media. That's an irrelevant question. They have everything they need to build a weapon.
That is the key point in U.S. intelligence assessments. You know that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's not.
The political decision had not been made.
I know that better than you know that, and I know that that's not the case.
But I'm asking you whether the order was given.
And the people who say that, It doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium?
You know, in the intelligence assessment that it was that Iran wanted to be a threshold
How do you
state
know what
and
the
use this
intelligence
leverage.
assessment says?
I'm
How do
talking
you
about
know what the
public
intelligence assessment
March
says?
assessment. And that's why I was asking you if you know something more from
but
March.
that's also
if
an
order
inaccurate
was
representation
given.
of it.
So, I have to admit, I was all in on Vance for 28. Now I'm verklempt. I really am. Rubio has come so far into his own. I honestly, I still think we're gonna have to do probably Vance Rubio in 28 if we're smart. Because that gives us Rubio and whoever in, what would that be, 32? Yeah. I mean, if we if we do this right, and we actually secure our elections well enough where we know there aren't fraudulent votes and there's not, 3 a.m. ballot ferry trucks stopping by, then there's a good chance Democrats could lose a lot, because with the population shifts and everything else that are happening, their whole House seats are about to be reapportioned anyway. But so we got to talk about this. This is from our friends over at Town Hall. This is from Amy Curtis, a contributor to our Weekend News Roundup show on Fridays. So apparently Washington Democrats have done something stupid again. So let's see what's going on. So maybe someday Democrats will learn that taxing corporations and people means those with the means will always go to more tax-friendly places, taking their jobs and their wealth with them. Today is not that day, however, and now Starbucks founder Howard Schultz, you heard me right, Starbucks founder Howard Schultz said his family is leaving the city and the state in the wake of Democrats passing an income tax in the Evergreen State. So this is from Ari Hoffman. Developing, Starbucks founder Howard Schultz announces that his family is leaving Seattle for Florida the same day Democrats passed an income tax on Washington State. Starbucks corporate is moving to Nashville. The wealth exodus is underway. Democrats have killed Washington's economy. Are they ever going to learn? So the Democrats, who have a supermajority, passed legislation to impose a 9.9% income tax on those earning more than $1 million a year. Schultz posted a lengthy message in LinkedIn about it, and here's what he said, and I quote, 44 years ago, Sherry and I made the cross-country trip from New York City to Seattle in our 1979 Audi, along with Jonas, our golden retriever. We were starting a new life. Sherry would be the breadwinner in the family, taking on a career in design, and I started a new job on September 7th, 1982, at a place called Starbucks. Back then, the Pike Place Starbucks only sold whole bean coffee. Today, it's the most visited Starbucks in the world. The history of the company is bound up in the very foundation and walls and floorboards of our first store in the city's historic market. The spirit of continuing forward has long underpinned our approach to life in business, in philanthropy, and most importantly, as a family. For those of you who know us well, we have entered the retirement phase of our lives, a term we are both getting used to. Last year, we traveled to dozens of places around the world, places we were always too busy to see when building Starbucks and raising kids. And we have moved to Miami for our next adventure together. We are enjoying the sunshine of South Florida and its allure to our kids on the East Coast as they raise families of their own. Like many other Seattle-based companies, Starbucks today stands on the shoulders of the many Pacific Northwesterners who built the company. They helped shape the culture, the benefits, and the brand, contributing to the civic, community, and public life of the city and the state. It is our hope that Washington will remain a place for business and entrepreneurship to thrive, creating essential opportunity for those in Seattle and the surrounding areas. Over the last years, as Sherry and I grew our family and built Starbucks globally, we were witness to the astonishing developments of Seattle. We focused on doing our part to help those at risk and facing hard times in our city. In 1990, Sherry started the Schultz Family Foundation, launching critical work to help others in our community and beyond. work that has grown to scale and impact with each passing year. We have entrusted the leadership of the foundation to our dear friend Vivek Varma with a mandate to accelerate our philanthropic investments to drive meaningful change. While our private family office will move to Miami, our foundation will continue to operations in Seattle. We will be forever grateful for the memories made in Seattle and the relationship built along the way. To the family, friends, and partners who made Seattle our home for so many years, thank you. All right, so I will say this. Based on this, kind of sounds like it was a coinky-dink. But I usually don't believe in those either, so I don't really know. But notice he didn't really say anything too terrible about the now nearly 10% tax on people that make $1 million a year or more. But I wouldn't expect him to either, because the thing the Democrats never really seem to understand is if you're making $1 million or more, you can hire people to help you figure out how to get to keep your money or get it back, if nothing else. So, anyway, that's one of the reasons why I like Trump's tariff approach, especially if we just got rid of federal and state income taxes altogether. If we weren't able to do that, I think we should just go to a value-added tax that nobody gets to opt out of, and basically just add like 3 or 4 cent federal sales tax to everything, because then everybody's taxed equally. The more you spend, the more you have to pay. And then there's not this issue of, rich people getting to write off this, rich people getting to write off that. And, if you buy $1 million jet, 4 cents on $1 million is a lot of money. Just saying. So, and here's Amy's take on that final part. So we'll see. I think she sees it a little bit differently than I do. To support these ambitions, we have made the decision to establish a strategic presence on the southwest region of the U.S. We will be opening an office in Nashville, Tennessee later this calendar year, according to the company. Companies across the nation recognize that Tennessee's strong values and fiscally conservative approach are good for business, and we are proud to welcome another Fortune 500 company like Starbucks to our state. That's according to Tennessee Governor Bill Lee. Funny how that works. Fiscal conservative political policies attract businesses and encourage them to thrive. Democrat tax and spend policies drive businesses away. The problem that I have, because she's not wrong, the problem that I have, though, is thus. Yes, they are right. Democratic policies kill a lot of different things. My biggest problem with all of that, though, and it's gonna get weird here for a second, so bear with me, because I gotta get rid of something. I just realized. All right, sorry. That wasn't the one I meant to do anyway, but it'll work well enough for now. All right, so, it's this. Yes, she's right. The thing that nobody wants to talk about, and I've talked about this before, with as long as it takes for our country's economy to shift, because it can't just turn on a dime, what's been happening for the last several election cycles is this. Republicans start putting policies in place that start bringing money back into the coffers, start rebuilding our military, because we can't exist without a strong military, especially as long as countries like Iran are around. If we can actually get Iran to go back to what it was in 1978, then we might actually be able to start scaling back our military a bit, because Iran's been propping up places like China and Russia now for a while. But to go back to what we're talking about here, my problem is when Democrats are like locusts, because when they leave, they go to places like here in Oklahoma, and then next thing you know, we've got all kinds of gentrification going on in Oklahoma City, and they're wanting to put bike lanes in and walking paths and all the things that they had where they came from. Well, guess what? It's taxes that have to pay for that stuff. So Oklahoma City's seen a steady tax increase over the years. And then there wasn't enough of an entertainment district. So and this is back when I lived in the greater Oklahoma City metro area, we passed the MAPS tax. It was supposed to be temporary. And every time it expired, they added another round to it and kept it going. Now, last I heard, I think they still have it going. Because once new taxes are started, they never really go away. And funniest thing about all of that is when we started doing all those things and making all those changes to make Oklahoma City this big, world-class city, we started importing blue voters. Big surprise. I'm sorry, the blue policies don't work. We've seen it over and over and over again. And the only thing that ever happens is when people start figuring out the blue policies don't work, and then they start shifting to vote for somebody else, whether it's libertarian, whether it's Republican, whether it's, Green Party, which if you think blue policies don't work, I don't know why you'd be voting for the Green Party, because anyway, is this. They just start importing new voters. Look at what's happened with Detroit and Michigan and Minneapolis. A lot of the places in those states now are largely Somali Muslim. You now have a sitting Congress critter who is Somali, who says she's not working for America's best interest, she's working for Somali's best interest. And she said it out loud. At least if you're going to subvert and basically violate your oath, don't say it out loud. But she did. And she does. And she has. So I don't know why anybody's surprised by it, but at one point it even kind of surprised me. All right, so we got to talk about this because this has become a huge talking point. And there's always part of these things that nobody tells you. So this happened, and I think this was yesterday. This was one of the times when there was a huge supposed public spontaneous gathering to support the cardboard Ayatollah. The Ayatollah no knees, because apparently he's only got one leg now. So I don't know. That was a bad joke. I'll work on it. But we're going to talk about this because this has been making the rounds as far as propaganda goes. Watch this.
شما صحبت میکنم پدافند داره عمل میکنه و ما شاهد اجتماع حضور مردم هستیم در میدان انقلاب. ما نمیترسیم، ما اینجاییم، ما اینجا هستیم، مردم اینجا هستن. حتی در مقابل پدافندها در برابر موشک ها ایستادن، مردم ایستادن، اومدن بیعت کنن با امامشان، با امام خامنه ای اومدن بیعت کنن و لبیک میگوین. مردم اومدن بگوین ما نمیترسیم، ما اینجاییم، ما مردم شجاعیم. باشتم شعار مردم.
Well, aloha snack bar to you too. All right, so why did I play this clip? Because this is making the rounds and basically being used to show everybody that America has messed up, that we don't know what we've gotten ourselves into. But I would like to remind everybody, because one of the things that is pointed out in some of the English translations I've seen about this stuff is how none of the crowd fled, none of the crowd started crying or screaming or any of the above. Let's not forget, these people were just publicly made aware that the young women who chose to not sing the national anthem were to be jailed and executed once they returned to Iran. So let's not pretend that all of this is spontaneous and that, oh, this is just more proof of how much Iran actually loves the Ayatollah. No, they can't stand them, but they also know that if they don't do what the regime tells them to do, they can still likely die. Now, what annoys me about this is, again, we're dealing with the point where it seems like, for whatever reason, the administration here is seeing things a little bit differently than I am. Because if they're still able to force people into the streets in that fashion, then the regime there isn't as dead as they want us to think. Now, again, we're also only, 9-10 days into this thing, so nobody thought we would be this far in as early as we are. So maybe I'm getting a little spoiled with the fact that now we have a war secretary who actually lets people kill people and break things instead of just half-assing everything. But we have hit top of the hour, so we do have to take a break. My name is Rick Robinson. This is my show. I want to thank everybody for hanging out in the chat. Looks like between everywhere that we're looking at right now, we've got a couple hundred or more hanging out with us right now. Some of the metrics are coming in kind of weird because Restream just changed a bunch of stuff. But want to thank everybody for taking the time to hang out with us today. And yeah, we're currently streaming to you on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, and X. And eventually you can find the archive for audio on klrnradio.com as well as all your favorite podcatchers. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Shut the lights down in the city, say the system's on the ropes, while the same hands that broke it hold your paycheck and your hopes. They'll sell your sweat for silver, call your sacrifice relief, but every drop of truth we bleed writes another line of belief. Freedom isn't free, it's carved in blood and fire and stone. It's the price of standing tall when they tell you to kneel and go home. They can lock up every promise, tax the air we breathe, but they'll never change the hearts of those who still believe. 'Cause freedom isn't free. Towers while they fence off your front yard. They wave a flag made out of rules and call obedience smart. They'll brand your voice as danger, they'll mock your faith as greed. But freedom don't need permission, it just needs men who bleed. Freedom isn't free, it's carved in blood and fire and stone. It's the price of standing tall when they tell you kneel and go home. They can lock up every promise, tax the air we breathe, but they'll never change the hearts of those who still believe. 'Cause freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't free, it's written in red on history's page. A warning to the tyrants and the cowards of the age. They can bury us in silence, but the truth still screams. Freedom isn't free.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at klrnradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN.
Come gather round the footlights, lads, and hear the old boards groan. A tale of ink and iron will, of voices overblown. From mics and scripts to painted sails, we've traded shore for sea. The players will man the rigging soon. Aye, your hands, follow me. From Long John shadowed silver grin to Jim with compass true. We speak the words, we wear the scars, we make the old world new. No gold without the work behind, no legend without sweat. A stage, a ship, a single breath. The course is not set yet. We players sail, we players sail, we players sail soon. All hands to KLRN Radio, setting sail for Treasure Island, March 2026.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
From red dirt roads to the Capitol steps, Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets. Fire in his voice, facts in his hand, talking sense to the heart of this land. It's the Rick Robinson Show, where the truth rides high. No spin, no script, just an eagle in the sky. From DC to Tulsa, he's calling it out. Mic in his hand, yeah, he's got the clout. Heartland Radio, raw and real. Tune in, speak up, and feel what we feel.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
On cue, he's a voice for the many, not the few. Well, grab your coffee, raise that flag, stand your ground, never wave that rag. News with a backbone, voice of the free. Rick's got the pulse of liberty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You know what day it is. It is Chat Lives Matter Day, also known as Wednesday, aka Hump Day. For those of you working for the weekend, you are nearly there. We are at what? Just past 1 p.m., a little after on the East Coast. We're at what? A little after 10 a.m. on the West Coast, so most of y'all probably still sleeping, bastards. Anyway, welcome back to Time Change. It's funny, I keep hearing a certain president say we're not doing that anymore. And yeah, so this goes into what I was going to open the show with today, and that is the fact that, look, we might be kicking Iran's ass. And from everything that I've seen, it looks like we are. However, when they can still manage to put together a crowd like that, who stays put and starts screaming Aloha Snack Bar while there's bombs blowing up, yeah. Now, again, I have no illusions that was organic. I'm pretty sure there were probably people in the crowd that you couldn't see that likely had guns pointed in people's directions if they started trying to run, etc. I wouldn't put that past anybody, even though at this point I'm not even sure we know who's actually running the country, because the newest Ayatollah if he is in fact still the Ayatollah, they broke every rule in their rule book to make him Ayatollah. First, he didn't even get the majority vote in the new selection council that they had to spin up because we vaporized the other one and unalive them post haste and forthwith. But yeah, so, and then there was the whole thing of, you know, this person's supposed to be a supreme spiritual leader, not a monarch. And the fact that it's now been passed from father to son kind of manages to do away with a lot of that supposed goodness. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But again, at this point, from everything that I've been able to see, I think this guy might already be toast. I think he was very seriously wounded in a strike. And then I think that's, like I said, he couldn't even show up for the swearing in. And so, look, it's one thing to not have him show up for the swearing in because, you know, maybe they'll blow him up. But it's another thing to, you know, not have him hiding somewhere completely secure and at least video into folks and actually be sworn in instead of them swearing in a cardboard cutout, which I have to say is probably one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life. But here we are. Now, at home, these things are starting to be said. And the only reason I'm playing this is because I do urge you to pay attention to what he's saying.
Are you concerned about sleeper cells? There's been discussion of that.
Look, the risk of terrorism right now is quite high. We tragically saw in Austin, Texas, just last weekend, we saw a terrorist attack. We also saw another terrorist attack in New York City. There is a heightened danger of terrorism right now, and I will say it is particularly indefensible that Democrats have shut down the Department of Homeland Security while we are facing an enhanced terrorist risk. The Department of Homeland Security exists to guard against terrorist attacks. The danger has never been higher than right now, particularly after 4 years of open borders under Joe Biden. We know that radical Islamic terrorists entered this country, and there's a vulnerability all across this country. It is disgraceful and indefensible for the Democrats to vote party line not to fund the Department of Homeland Security right now. We need to open it up and fully fund it.
Got it. Thank you, sir. Are you concerned about sleeper cells? There's been discussion of that.
Look, the risk.
There you have it directly from the Texas senator. Yes, we should be concerned about sleeper cells, and I agree with him. So, and I've said this for years, even before we started doing all this. It is time for people to pay attention. So this happened. Hang on, let me make sure I'm playing the right clip here. Oh yeah, so remember when he mentioned the New York City terror attack? This is what a CNN darling had to say about it. So here we go. It's not a very long clip, but it's interesting.
Two Republicans say Muslims don't belong here after an attempted terror attack against New York's Mayor Zoran Mamdani, and the House Speaker Mike Johnson says nothing really to condemn those comments. Another special guest is going to be with us at the table when we come. Two Republicans say Muslims don't belong here.
Well, do they though? I mean, I know I'm about to offend a whole bunch of people, but read my lips when I say
they tried to quench the fire, drown it all in chains.
I forgot to pull that off before we started doing everything else earlier, so it was bugging me not being on the right screen. Okay, so here's what I say to this. Are they wrong? Have any Muslims really proven that they deserve to be here? Look at what's happening in Michigan. Look at what's happening in Minneapolis. These people are slowly trying to take over. They have publicly, in meetings, using their own languages, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib have had groups saying that they did not come to America to assimilate or to become Americans. They came to colonize. So the same people that are calling us the colonizers are now bringing people here to colonize. And they're not even hiding it from you anymore. And a lot of you are too scared with being politically correct or too scared to be... somebody's going to shame me if I say what I really feel about this, and I don't want to be excluded from holiday dinners, and I want to... Dude, shut up. Just shut up. They are trying to kill us from the inside out and from the outside in. and you're letting them. So, yeah, I don't have an issue with politicians who say what I have always believed, and that is this. Islam is not just a religion. Islam has an entire legal system that comes with it called Sharia law. And Sharia law is antithetical to our justice system. Our justice system, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, and I'll be getting into this after the break, is based on the Ten Commandments, which you can, for those of you who understand history, say that that's based on the Code of Hammurabi. So it's not like it's anything new. And I understand that because I do actually research things. You know, unlike the redheaded libertarian, I am, in fact, an autodidact. Sorry, had to be said. Because I never enjoyed school, but I love learning. School bored me because it wasn't the things that I wanted to learn about. But back to this for a second. So this is Abby Phillips trying to correct the spin out that happened last night. So I want to correct something I said last night. The bombs thrown in New York City over the weekend by ISIS-inspired attackers. Anybody want to remind me what that first I stands for? Anybody? Was thrown into a crowd of anti-Muslim protesters and not specifically targeted Mayor Mondani. The wording was inaccurate and I didn't catch it ahead of time. The wording was inaccurate and I didn't catch it ahead of time. I apologize for the error. Oh, but yeah, we just played what she said. That wasn't an error. 2 Republicans say Muslims don't belong here after an attempted terror attack against New York's mayor. Okay. I'm still laughing at that. I didn't catch it ahead of time. I don't know. Look, I have had to do on-air retractions. They're not fun, but I also typically try not to say things that are overly retarded either. So there's that. All right, let's see what else we have on tap for today. Trying to get through some of this stack of news stuff that I have. This is again from Amy Curtis. So CBS, who has pissed off a lot of the left lately, is actually CBS News is actually seemingly starting to do their job again. So sorry about that. Couldn't get to the mute button in time. And yeah, anyway, so CBS News exposed the massive California hospice fraud happening on Gavin Newsom's watch. So remember when I said, if we're finding this kind of stuff in places like Minneapolis, you're probably not going to want to know how bad it is everywhere else, especially in even bigger states like California, or as I call it, take your pick, commie failure or Cali failure. So anyway, so let's get into this a little bit. So as head of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz has been sounding the alarm on hospice fraud in California for weeks. In January, Dr. Oz said it was clear something wasn't right, noting that there were some hospice services where 100% of patients were surviving beyond the normal 6-month window. They realized that they could pay doctors to move people into hospice, Dr. Oz said at the time. The hospice is designed for the last 6 months of your life. It means you're going to die. These hospice programs are created when the most common reason that you'd enter it is cancer, but these days not everyone with cancer dies. But also you're putting a lot of people with Alzheimer's and other conditions in there, so it became a little harder to police. Hospice is designed, and again, this is just an explainer, for patients with a terminal illness and a life expectancy of 6 months or less. While many hospice patients do have a diagnosis of cancer, the majority now have other terminal illnesses, including heart disease, lung disease, or dementia/Alzheimer's. Under hospice rules, a patient must undergo periodic recertification where a qualified provider, e.g. a hospice nurse, nurse practitioner, or doctor, evaluates the patients for signs of decline. When a patient is admitted to hospice for the first time, the first and second recertification periods occur at 90 and 180 days, then every 60 days thereafter. Clinicians look for ongoing signs of decline, including decreased appetite, muscle wasting, usually assessed by measuring upper arm circumference, disease progression, and skin breakdown in the form of non-healing pressure wounds. According to CMS, the average length of stay on hospice is about 90 days, with the median stay being roughly 18 to 24 days. While some patients, usually those with chronic conditions like heart and lung disease, stay in hospice longer, many are also discharged alive or transferred to palliative care. It is, however, highly unusual that 100% of hospice patients survive the 6-month period. At the end of January, Dr. Oz provided another update with some startling numbers. The number of hospice patients or hospice agencies in LA County increased by 1,500%. Not a total of 1,500 increase, a total of 1,500% of an increase since 2010, far beyond the 40% increase in the senior population. So that raised all sorts of red flags, as you might understand, and now CBS has done some digging and found that the indication of hospice fraud in California are not only there, but they're growing. And I quote from the CBS story: Medicare is federally administered and hospices must be certified for reimbursements, but the state issues the licensing for hospices to operate. 3 years ago, California state auditor sounded the alarm that Los Angeles County, now keep in mind this was 3 years ago, that Los Angeles County had seen a 1,500% increase in the hospice companies since 2010, more than 6 times the national average relative to its elderly population. Auditors estimated LA County hospices overbilled Medicare by a whopping $105 million in a single year. The report called out notable red flags, key warning signs of fraud, multiple hospices in one building, geographic clustering, low patient counts, high rates of terminally ill patients later discharged alive, excessive billing, and staff shared across multiple companies. The state says it proceeded to investigate and revoke the licenses of 280 hospice care groups out of 1,500. But since then, the problem has continued to fester. According to CBS News, which has examined the business and financial records of every hospice currently operating in LA County, applying the same indicators identified by the state, indications of fraud have not stopped. In fact, they have grown. And this is from the CBS account, and it looks like there's a clip, so I think we're going to play that. So hang on just a second, instead of me continuing to have to read here. Now, this is a bit of a longer clip, but we're going to play the whole thing anyway, so hang on. All right, and here we go.
The government thinks this woman is dying in hospice care, but she just humiliated me, schooled me on the pickleball court. She's definitely not dying. She is a victim, though, of hospice fraud. So hospice fraud costs taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars every year, and California is ground zero. So basically, people steal Medicare numbers, they enroll them in hospices, and then bill for tens, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. A lot of these companies are just fronts. So over 700 of the roughly 1,800 hospices in LA County trigger multiple red flags for possible fraud. So we went door to door, and what we found was empty office spaces, piled up mail, and not a single healthcare worker in sight. There's even a stretch in LA with 500 registered hospice companies within just 3 miles of each other. In fact, there's even a single building with 89 registered hospice companies. We wanted to get some answers.
Okay, so my name is Adam Yamaguchi and I'm with CBS News, and we're doing a story about hospice, and we're just trying to understand how and why there's so many hospice agencies in like a small cluster in LA County. Would love to speak with you. I'm sorry? You have no comment? Okay. All right. Medicare hospice fraud can happen in a few different ways. Shell companies can buy stolen Medicare numbers on the dark web and then bill the government for services that they don't ever actually provide. Sometimes recruiters will go out into the community and look for seniors and say, hey, we can offer you a bunch of free groceries, housekeeping, free depends. Just give me your Medicare number and I'll see what you're eligible for. And then boom, they're off and running. They can charge tens of thousands of dollars and in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars on that one Medicare number. Some like to say that a Medicare number is like a government gold card. Now, there are real doctors who are involved in these schemes as well because they've got to sign off on this supposed care. They get rich, taxpayers get screwed, but the worst part is it's our mothers, fathers, grandparents who are denied care. It could be something like physical therapy, like with the woman who whooped my ass on the pickleball court. It could be somebody who needs dialysis or cancer treatment. You know, doors slammed in their faces because the Medicare records show, no, you're already dying in hospice. We can't help you. This kind of fraud adds up to at least $200 million a year stolen from American taxpayers. Now, this is a nationwide problem. This kind of fraud happens in blue states, it happens in red states, but it's really bad in California, and it's especially bad in LA County. We spoke with California's Attorney General, who says the state's investigating a number of cases and are expecting enforcement action soon. But advocates say that the state and the feds just aren't moving fast enough, and patients in desperate need are running out of time.
All right, so staying with California for a second, because this ties in with another clip that I have ready to go. So hang on just a moment. Was it that one? Nope, it's not that one. I don't know if I'm going to have time to get to Tallarico on this show or not. And since I'm doing an entire hour on him later, I may just push the Tallarico stuff until later because I have plenty of other things to discuss, and I'm just trying to figure out where I parked this one. Nope, that's not the California one. All right, where is the California one? I just had another California-related clip, and now I can't find it. All right, let me just go back. Hang on. Live radio, sometimes things don't go as planned. Should be right about... Nope, that's not there. No, but there it is. Okay, so share this tab instead. Make bigger. And this is a bit of a longer clip, so after we play this one, we'll probably take the break. But this is in the vein of the California stories, because this is Bill Maher, who I don't play that often because I have come to consider him a kleptocrat, because he kind of plays whatever he thinks is going to win in points with his current audience. But this part kind of has to be discussed because this is one of the biggest travesties to happen in California in forever. And it's not just him talking about it. So here we go.
You're on the road like all of 26, right?
No, the first half. And
first
then
half.
Well, we're supposed to start.
And do you go like from one city to the other without going home?
No, I don't do that.
Oh, I never, yeah.
Did you do that?
No.
I do.
Just
go out and back.
It's weekends.
I do
Go out
3 a
one
weekend
city,
or 2 a
second
weekend.
city, go home after the second city.
That's hard to do.
Why?
Well, if you have a plane, it's not as bad.
That's what I did.
Yeah,
but what about
Why didn't you?
climate change?
Yeah, what about climate change?
I'm not sure that
we fuck him over.
I'm not sure adding one more plane
Yeah.
to the 8,000 flights a day.
How dare you?
Yeah, where's
How
Greta?
dare you?
I mean,
bring her in.
The biggest airline in India alone has 2,000 flights a day. So I don't know if me going to the Chuckle Hut in
driving back
Sacramento.
from
No human being that can afford private jets does not fly them. The only one is Greta Thunberg. I give her credit. But when she goes to places, they don't like what she's doing. They put her on a plane, and she's very... But here's a fun fact for you. You might appreciate this. So during the Biden administration, they wanted to suppress the volume of cow herds with ranchers because cows contribute to global warming. So we have the lowest herd that we've ever had. So now they're trying to get more cows.
Get dragged in.
They're going to get cows. They're going to get cows to have
aren't
intercourse
they
and
part
make
of
more
nature?
cows.
I can top that.
You can top that.
The fire we had
I
here.
know.
Yeah, well, okay.
Applause.
Why are
we getting applause for a fire?
Applause.
I just said fire, and you both did a bit on fire. It's fine. Can I make the point?
Fire's one of the...
Ringo Starr, caveman, fire. Oh,
Robin.
Like how everybody reacts to fire. What Dennis Miller, what would he say about fire?
Christ's sakes, I prefer 2 D-cell batteries in a flashlight, but in a pinch, light up a brush or something and see my way through the estuary. Okay, Carvey? I love Dennis. He is brilliant.
What about
we have to admit.
we had fires now.
Okay, so
Can you admit that Dennis Miller is brilliant?
He is.
Okay.
He is a great.
Yeah.
I always said state-of-the-art
He
comedian.
likes you too.
Yeah.
But the milk vetch was a plant, like a weed, that they insisted that it was endangered, and it's one reason we had so much brush. It's because the fire, ironically, causes like.
All right, so I had to stop here for a second. So somebody riddle me this, Batman. Riddle me this, Batman. When and how is a weed considered an endangered species? We know what weeds are, right? Those are like very prolific things that are hard as hell to kill, and usually everybody's trying to do everything they can to keep them out of the yard. So, remind me again how part of the reason why, because remember, in Donald Trump's first term, he kept trying to say, hey, Cal failure, you wouldn't be having all these fires if you would rake your shit. And I'll be honest, because I don't live in a fire zone, not in that way anyway. And we call it other stuff here. But yeah, I live on an acreage, so we get rid of underbrush and stuff all the time, just in case. So it's not anything that I'm not used to. But finding out that they don't do those things, and then apparently finding out based on this clip that not only do they not do those things, but the reason they don't do those things is because a weed is considered an endangered species of plant. That's not normally how this stuff works. So that's an interesting take to me. All right, there's a little bit left on this, so we're gonna finish it up.
I don't remember the number, but way more times pollution than like getting all the cars.
Oh, yeah.
All the cars that we made better since the beginning of this century, we lost all that progress with the air in that one fire.
From the milk fest?
And well, that's one, it's a contributing factor. What I'm saying is they went over, I'm an environmentalist too, but like by saving the milk vetch, it contributed to a fire that did far more environmental damage.
Who knew at one point Trump was right in his own childlike way?
About, yes, raking.
Because he's touring, he goes, we gotta rake the leaves, you gotta rake it. You gotta find it, you gotta rake it like you wouldn't believe, and you rake it, and you keep raking it until you don't have to rake.
Okay, that was actually that was a pretty good Trump impersonation. There's only one guy I can think of that does it better, but that was actually pretty good. But yeah, so again, who would have thought Trump was right? Yet again, if they had been raking their shit, we wouldn't have had these huge fires. And speaking of people being right, I would like to point out that over a year ago, when all this fire stuff started, I was one of the first people that I ever heard pointing out that at some point the California government's going to start trying to buy all this stuff up and put low cost housing in. And that's exactly what they've started trying to do. So, not trying to toot my own horn or pat my own back, but if I don't do it, nobody else will. So, there's that. All right, so let's see. Oh, yeah, we're going to take the break. I forgot. Oh, and it looks like we've got a Whoopi Goldberg take when we come back from the break, because I just got down to that part of my stack of stuff. You know what? I don't know what I want to play, because I already played that one. Let's see what we've got here. And I don't know. Hang on. Pardon me a moment while I think out loud. I should have had this ready to go, and I didn't, because we already played that one. Don't want to play the juxtaposition theme. Why not? I would do the military tribute because it seems appropriate, but that's too long and I don't want to take up that much time. So we're gonna do the first responder tribute song instead. Be right back. Stay tuned.
call comes in, somebody answers. Day or night, they're already moving. Calm voices, fast hands, doing the work while the rest of the world freezes. From a headset to a truck, from a badge to a door, they don't stop to count the cost. They step in when it matters. It's not about being seen, it's about being there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead, standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. Before the sirens fade, before the scene is clear, someone's already making sense of the moment. Keeping people alive, keeping things from getting worse. Some run toward danger, some stay behind and hold it together. Different roles, same weight, same promise to show up. When everything's on the line, they're already there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead, standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. This is service, this is sacrifice, this is how lives are saved. No spotlight, no applause, just showing up again and again. They're holding the line when the world goes dark. When everything's breaking, they hold their ground. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line. So we raise our voices for the ones who stand. Every voice, every badge, every helping hand. They don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. Always standing in the gap for us all. For those who run and for those who hold steady, for those who stand in the gap.
All right, so for some reason the chat on my side has died, so continue to talk amongst yourselves. It's probably because I have some pretty high winds moving through right now, which usually does some weird things to my interwebs because I do live out in the middle of nowhere. All right, so we got to talk about this because this is giving off some pretty strong Charlie Kirk vibes, but it's all about Iran, and it's an interesting take. So it's a bit of a long clip, but we're going to play it anyway. So hang on just a second.
So why do you think people were so loud on Palestine but so silent on Iran?
Oh, a lot of factors. Can I think for a second before I load my response?
Sure. But let me just give you some stats. More people died in Iran because of the Islamic Republic that kills and oppresses its own people. So this basically ticks all the left-wing narrative boxes. You have a group of oppressed people that are rising up against the tyrant, getting killed by that tyrant, shot in the head for protesting, which is their democratic right. You don't have a single campus shutdown. You don't have a single protest. You have protests by Iranians, but not by foreigners. Yet, you had protests non-stop for the last 2 years about Palestine, which I think they started the war by attacking Israel on 7th of October. Yeah, Israel responded, and they basically won the war. But then you had protests for 2 years condemning Israel, calling it a genocidal state, even though Israel could have committed genocide in 1 hour if they wanted to. The reason why war took 2 years is because they didn't want to commit a genocide. But then you have the Islamic Republic that is actually causing a genocide, killing their own people, people not saying anything. Why do you think that is?
Many reasons. However, I do disagree fundamentally about there not being... Sorry, could you just repeat what you were saying? About, yeah. I disagree with you about the origins of October 7th and that...
Okay.
That it was...
Yeah, so look, the thing is, Hamas was given $20 billion back in 2005, yeah? They could have built skyscrapers. They could have made Gaza the next Dubai if they wanted to, because they got the support from international community. They dragged every single Jew out of Gaza back in 2005. But then guess what happened? When Hamas took over, they killed all the oppositions, threw them off the buildings, destroyed all the glass houses that the Jews had built that provided food for them. Then they used the 20 billion to build tunnels, and then the leaders of Hamas, they went and lived in 5-star hotels in Qatar, whilst their sons were on private jets with half-naked women, whilst Palestinians were starving, or the people that live in Gaza. And then people scream genocide. They caused October 7th. They attack, and they try to commit a genocide on the Jews on the October 7th.
I'm going to cut here. I can't have a good faith debate about this. I'm sorry.
Why?
Because I disagree fundamentally about the causes of October 7th.
Well, it's true.
So a white bitch is disagreeing with someone who sounds like he's probably from there about the causes of October 7th. This is the country. This is the world we live in now. This is the world we live in now. We have a bunch of people who have decided they have become self-described experts on everything. And then they can't even defend their positions. It would be different because she kept saying, well, I disagree with you about the fundamental causes of October 7th. Can you, could you articulate those? What do you think caused it? Could you articulate that for me? That would have been a question I would have asked if I was sitting there, but I wasn't sitting there. So the fact that he keeps trying to say, hey, this is an actual genocide. You know, this is an actual governmental regime killing 50, 60,000 of its people on a whim anytime it feels like it, and nobody says a word. Nobody. And yeah, I really wish we had been able to get this stuff popping off whenever there was an actual uprising in the streets in January. But I also don't believe the talking points that at some point the Iranian people aren't going to decide it's time to take their country back either. If we can continue to demolish the military infrastructure in the ways that we have been. But, you know, who knows? All right, so I did tease it before the break, so we're going to try to get to it before we run out of time. Apparently, Whoopi Goldberg had a minute. And I guess this should technically kind of surprise no one. But, yeah, so she had thoughts. It's not a very long clip, so we should be able to get through it and then have a bit of discussion about it, because why not? But anyway, so here is the latest instance of Whoopi Goldberg finding a rake with her face, apparently. Here we go. And this is, of course, on The View.
Well, I mean, it's just nutty as hell. It's nutty as hell. Yeah. And you're right. Every day is something new. And it's, you know, I was thinking about it yesterday because I thought, well, okay, Why haven't we been talking about Savannah Guthrie and what's going on there?
And her mother.
Why haven't we not been Why have we not been talking about the Epstein files? Because that's still there.
Yeah.
This is meant to get us so worked up that we are unable to see anything else. Well, I mean, it's just nutty.
Except the last time I checked, these harpies, let me fix it. Right there. All of those harpies, save the one, they do an hour show every day. Why are they not talking about these things? If these are the things that you feel should be being talked about, you do a show every single Monday through Friday. For last I checked, at least an hour. I don't know. I don't pay any attention to your show anymore other than clips. I haven't really since Wawa left because y'all went nuts after that, and I don't want any part of it other than to make fun of you like I'm doing right now. But if these are the topics that are interesting to you, why is it that you are not talking about them? So this isn't the first time that Goldberg has shown her ignorance in such a way, though, on Iran. During a broadcast last year, she claimed that Black Americans live under similar conditions. I'm going to say that again. She claimed last year on an actual broadcast that Black people live under the same conditions or similar conditions in the United States as women in Iran, who are routinely oppressed by the regime. One can feel, however, they want about the war in Iran, but the notion that it began as a way to distract from Nancy Guthrie's disappearance or any other matter is absolutely absurd on its face. Yes, when America goes to war, it typically dominates the airwaves. But this doesn't mean that other issues are not getting their share of attention. There are still news reports about the Guthrie case. Right now, much of the debate is centered on the Save America Act. Of course, Goldberg knows this, but one of the key symptoms of Trump derangement syndrome is that it causes a severe critical thinking and rationality deficiency. It means that when it comes to anything involving the president, those suffering from the condition cannot find or form a rational, cogent thought. Meanwhile, the military conflict in Iran continues to heat up. Israel Foreign Minister Gideon Sayer said on Tuesday, Israel is not seeking an endless war and will coordinate with the United States on when to end the bombardment of the Iranian regime's military and nuclear capabilities. The airstrikes have struck over 5,500 targets to date and severely damaged the regime's ability to fight. However, they still have the ability to produce propaganda, which tells me we're not done with them yet. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this piece out, and throughout the day, I'll go back through and find all the ones that I pulled out and make sure that I put them on my feed so anybody who wants to go through and read them in their entirety can. I'm also going to start trying to prep this stuff out in advance to be able to leave links on like the YouTube and the Rumble feeds for the stories that I plan on talking about, but I haven't gotten that well organized yet because let's face it, I do about 30 hours a week of this stuff in one form or the other, not to mention trying to write and do a bunch of other things at the same time. All right, so we are just about out of time. I think there might be one or two other things that I wanted to get to, I think. Oh, yeah, so we got to talk about this one because this is news to me, too. I did not know this. And this just came up yesterday, so hang on. And then after this, we're probably going to wrap because I have to be back in a few hours and we're almost out of time anyway. Okay, so are you going to go down there? There we go. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, but I caught it while I was doing something else, and it was kind of intriguing, so I thought I'd talk about it today.
Something that's become a major vulnerability for Iran, the underground missile cities that not long ago were a point of pride. Let's dig into what's happened over at the wall. Iran spent decades constructing bunkers to shield its missile arsenal from destruction. But these bunkers, just over a week into the war, are looking like it was all for naught, because the problem is what was once mobile and hard to find is no longer mobile, and it's easy to hit. The U.S. has done so and continues to do so. The U.S. and Israeli warplanes are armed, have drones, and have been circling over the dozens of cavernous bases, striking missile launchers as they emerge to fire. Pretty much exactly like whack-a-mole in cities throughout the country, like Isfahan, Shiraz, and Tabriz. Now, the tunnel entrance to an underground base in Tabriz is visible in this photo. On this side, you can see an image of the tunnel from February 23rd. You can see the roads leading in and the entrance to the tunnel. But then in a March 1st photo, you can see where basically the entire thing appears to be collapsed, signaling it has been targeted by airstrikes. Now, a major player in all of this, helping the U.S. identify those targets, artificial intelligence. The U.S. is leveraging the most advanced AI it's ever used in warfare, which is used to suggest targets, it's to issue precise locations, locate coordinates, and allow the U.S. to strike 1,000 targets in the first 24 hours. Now, one of the platforms, the AI platforms, is the Maven Smart system. It's used by 20,000 military personnel, provides those targets, prioritization, and it's embedded within Anthropic's AI Claude model. Now, that model was also used to help identify targets for Operation Epic Fury. And what it does is it synthesizes documents, it streamlines the logistics, it simulates situations, and then identifies objects in the drone feeds. Now, here's a complicating issue. Today, Anthropic filed a suit against the Trump administration in response to the Trump administration designating the AI startup, Claude, Anthropic, as a supply chain risk.
Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, so the use of AI is kind of something that, even though I've seen all the movies and I should be abjectly terrified and have admitted that sometimes I am, I still have to admit it intrigues me. And I think AI is making warp speed advancements in our medicine based on some of the things that I'm starting to see crop up that are being tested in other countries. Things that could make everybody's lives so much better and so much easier. Like, apparently they have figured out that, you know, humans have the same genes as salamanders that allow things to be regrown, but that gene for us works in a lesser capacity. And they have figured out that with CRISPR technology, they can go in and actually turn it on, which could be an amazing thing eventually for anybody who's had any form of amputation or even nerve damages or anything else. If they can go in and target the places where things need to be regrown or repaired and turn those genes on to make sure that it happens. I've also seen a story recently where they have produced a human kidney that was able to operate on its own and clean blood and process urine and push out urine for a maximum of 6 hours. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but when you know people like I do that are living on transplant lists and on borrowed time, if that becomes viable technology, that could literally change the world. So we have the potential, based on everything that's happening in the world today, to bring about some of the utopia that everybody keeps saying can't actually exist if we can get out of our own way. But one of the only ways we're going to be able to do that is to put it into terrorism. And I'm going to close the show in the same way that I've been opening the show for a while. Iran has been at war with us for 47 years. Just because we haven't wanted to admit that doesn't make it any less true. So, same question I opened with. How many Ayatollahs does it take to change a light bulb? None, because we keep unaliving them. My name is Rick Robinson. This has been my show. I'll be back tonight for Kingdom and Country live on KLRN Radio. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to hang out with us today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday as we get ready to get out of here. And we'll see you when we see you. Hopefully some of you, or all of you, hopefully will come back later tonight. But we'll see. Bye, everybody. Say goodnight, Gracie.